What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam, I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys have all had a great Friday. I hope you guys are looking forward to a great weekend, and I hope you guys are ready for another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft with you guys, with the Catch fam. So, you know what to do, man. Hit that like button on the way in. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you so much for being here tonight. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can hear me talk about fantasy football and add another guy who talks about fantasy football to your news feed, your algorithm, whatever it may be. And whether you guys are new or not to the channel, hit that like button so more people see the stream tonight and more people come out and talk fantasy football tonight. But most importantly, hop in the live chat. Let me know what's popping. Let me know how you guys are doing. Any fantasy football topics you guys want to go over, redraft, dynasty, or best ball. Any fantasy football questions you guys have as we get closer and closer to most of your guys' drafts. Fire them up. Any NFL topics. Let's get it going. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football. And we have got some news tonight. Finally. You know, like, we only get so much news these days. Getting closer and closer to training camp. We're going to have more breaking news at the start of streams. It's not really breaking news, but you guys know what I mean. Relevant news to actually talk about. So we're kicking off tonight's mock draft at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time sharp. We've got all green dots. I'm going to stick to the planned time. I know Cinnabon's probably hanging out here, so we basically got all green dots. But 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 minutes from now, let's talk about Joe Mixon, who had a $9.4 million non-guaranteed base salary with the Cincinnati Bengals, was looking for more money, was, in some people's eyes, going to get cut, some people's eyes going to get traded. We didn't really know what was going to happen. It's been up in limbo. The Bengals went out and drafted Chase Brown at the running back position. Joe Mixon, as of tonight, has agreed to restructure his contract to remain in Cincinnati. So the Bengals wanted him to take a pay cut. Mixon wanted more money. They're meeting in the middle, baby. So Joe's goal is to win a Super Bowl and play his career in Cincinnati. And this is the best way to accomplish these goals, said his agent. Interesting, Joe. So yeah, this is good. From a fantasy perspective, I think, except maybe, you know, some of us in dynasty formats who drafted Chase Brown with a lot of high hopes. Maybe some of us who have been drafting Chase Brown late in best ball drafts, thinking he's going to be the RB1 for the Bengals. Listen, if you own Chase Brown in dynasty formats, I don't think this is like the end of the world by any means. Still a good handcuff running back. Still going to have a role within that offense. And Mixon is still towards the latter part of his career. And we see how the NFL has started to treat the running back position, right? I mean, so I would not panic if you're a Chase Brown owner, if you were hopeful for Chase Brown. It's a hit. It's not great, don't get me wrong. But we could see a world where Chase Brown and Joe Mixon are both involved, similar to how parts of last year, Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon were both involved in their respective offenses. So that's your news. That is like one veteran running back who's floating around off the board, so to speak, right? We still have Fournette. We still have Zeke floating around out there. Mixon's not going to be an option. So that was exciting. We got that news like a little bit over an hour ago. And gave us something to talk about tonight. So we will pay attention to see where Joe Mixon is drafted tonight. And I don't know. What does this mean for Mixon in terms of his personal fantasy relevance, right? I mean, he's got to be relevant. He was your RB10 last year in full PPR. That massive game, 55.1 points in Week 9 against Carolina. By the way, the mock is now starting. You take that away, I mean, like, okay, the season's not as good. He did miss 2 games, Week 12 and Week 13. He had a stinker in Week 17 against Buffalo. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. That was the game that got canceled. I'm just quickly looking at stats. It's my bad. But, so yeah, he missed 2 games. Had the massive game in week 9. Overall, still had a solid year. 826 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns on the ground, 75 targets, 60 receptions, 441 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air. So, listen, I still think he's an RB2, but he's going to be relevant to some degree, right? He's a starter for the Bengals. Bengals are a good offense. So, okay, this is a weird spot for me to draft from, especially when my boy Bijan doesn't fall, but that is a good thing because I'm not expecting Bijan to be available at the 1.8 come August time. So, let's go CeeDee Lamb. I like A.J. Brown there. I even like Amon-Ra St. Brown there. Diggs is fine. Barkley's fine if you go running back, but I'll start my draft with CeeDee Lamb. Okay, so let me know in the chat, what do you guys think about the Joe Mixon situation? JSC, what's going on, man? Good to see you tonight. Hope you're doing fantastic. Chase, what's up? Taylor, hello. Thomas, what's going on, man? Don't worry, we'll have plenty more coming. I mean, really right now, I'm probably going to be doing one Underdog stream per week, and outside of that, anytime I am able to stream, I will be doing our regular mock drafts. So, plenty more to come through the month of August, leading up to the beginning of September. Chase, best news I've heard being a Mixon owner in Dynasty. Yes, it absolutely helps your Dynasty team that we've been reviewing pretty frequently on the channel, man. Let's go. Taylor says, take away that one game he was mid. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty fair. I mean, I wonder... I'm going to test myself here. Okay, let me make this pick very quickly. Ooh, what a weird draft for me. Okay, I think I'm going to switch it up tonight. Me Devonta Smith here. Wow. Guys, is it crazy to pass on Devontae Adams for Devonta Smith? Because I think I just did. Yeah, I mean, Astro in the chat, the Adams disrespected. That was pretty disrespectful. Okay, so if we look at last year, I didn't want to accidentally pick Joe Mixon at the 2.5 there, but 240.7 points in full PPR. Okay. So when we look at that, we take away, I mean, we don't want to take away that entire 55 points. You know, he had scored 17, 11, 16, 18, 12 leading up to that game. So let's say he scores 14 points in that game. Let's bring it down to, I don't know, close to an average, okay? So 55 points minus, no wait. See, I told you guys I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to try and do math on the stream. Devontae Adams off of the board. Finally, 2.7. All right, so we're taking away 41 points, essentially, from Joe Mixon's total. Okay. So he would have just under 200 points in full PPR if we brought that giant game to an average. Okay. So that's not nearly as good. I'm going to try and find a running back who had 200 points last year. Najee had 222. ETN had 204, but he kind of had like this slow start with a couple other running backs hanging around. I guess a starting running back all season long who had 200 points. That's tough to find. Miles Sanders had 216. Missed one game. And keep in mind, Mixon missed 2 games. Connor had 199. Okay, that's perfect. That's literally how many points Mixon would have scored. And, oh, that's not fair because Connor missed 4 games. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know if I'm going to find this. Monty had 177, and he missed 2 games. So I think that's a pretty fair comparison, actually. Look, I kept going. I tried. So Joe Mixon is a little bit better than David Montgomery last year if you take away that game. That would put him in like the RB 18 to 20 range. So I don't know. do what you want with that information, but I put it together for you. Kind of. All right, J-Dubs, what's going on? Andrea, good to see you tonight. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Chase, trying to trade Pollard for Breece Hall package in my Superflex Dynasty. Wish me luck. I do certainly wish you luck in your endeavor there. 100%. I still like Pollard, but you know, I think Hall is fine to try and go and acquire. Nothing wrong with that. All right. Adams falls excessive, yeah. All the way back to the 2.7. You guys not very happy about that tonight. I'll go Walker here. Smith is my guy, man. Smith is my guy. I just had to go with him. Marco, what's going on, man? Hello, hello. This is Jay Jettis at the 1.2. It's a nice start for me, 100%. Andrew says, I like Smith this year. Yeah, I mean, Smith's been my guy since like last offseason, so. Jimmy J may not be great, but I'm still going to see a 30% target share. I mean, 100%. I'm not out on Adams by any means. I just wanted to draft Smith. But, you know, you look at the board, right? Wilson, Olave, Waddle, Smith, all off the board before Adams. Heavy running back run in the second half of the second round. The young guys going before Adams. I mean, let's face it, Adams at the 2.7 is an absolute steal. It was your wide receiver 3 last year. But, you know, like it's kind of similar to when Henry falls back and he was your RB4 last year. It's just something to do with the veteran-esqueness, right? Mid-offenses, right? So that puts Adams as wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 in this draft. Henry has RB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Very, very different. Does this move Mixon above Kenneth Walker? So that's good. Pushes Kenneth Walker's value back a little. It depends on who you're drafting with. I mean, when we look at tonight's board so far, Mixon is still not gone. So we'll see how it plays out. I don't think his ADP has been adjusted on Sleeper. I mean, it's a little bit too early for that, so he's still chilling. They've still got him at 42.5, in case you guys are wondering. I'll go DJ Moore here. Andrew says, I think Mixon didn't want to be cut. Yeah, it's probably a little bit of fluff. And it turns out he's staying where he is. But I think also, I mean, really when you look at the landscape of the running back position in the NFL right now, it's like, how bad do you really want to test getting, I mean, it's basically what you're saying, Andrew, but how bad do you really want to get cut and test the waters right now, you know? I mean, the market this year has not been kind to running backs. Still got Saquon, his contract up in the air. You got Josh Jacobs up in the air. Eckler just took the incentive-based extension, you know. I mean, if anything, that was a bad sign, right? Zeke's still floating out there for what it's worth. Dalvin Cook's still floating out there for what it's worth. And there goes Mixon at the 4.10. But I feel like, honestly, that's not... Yeah, I mean, that's just about where we've been seeing Mixon... I mean, maybe a rounder. I don't know. It's just tough. Let's look at... Let's take a look at the last 2 mock drafts we've ran. Let's do that. I'm not going to put them on the screen to make it like confusing about what's going on, but I will tell you the information. How about that? If I can find him. Oh my gosh. Okay, Mixon went at the 5.8 in the last mock we ran. Went at the 4.10 tonight. So that's almost, I mean, two rounds difference, but definitely a whole round, right? Then the second to last mock we ran, he went at the 5.10. So exactly a round before. So he's moved up around so far. That'll probably change a bit. But I think that, I don't know, I kind of like him right next to Aaron Jones. I think that makes sense. Jones, your RB9 last year. Mixon, your RB10. I think that's a pretty fair landing spot because we are expecting a bit of a dip in production. Alrighty. Who am I drafting? Not Brandon Ayuk. I didn't even expect Ayuk to be available there, so I wasn't considering him at all. This is such a tough choice for me in redraft right here. I mean, I don't think you can really go wrong. I don't think you can really go wrong. I'll go Herbert here, but I'm going to go ahead and run the poll. Who you drafting? In redraft. Are you drafting Herbert or T-Law, who's off the board at 5.10? I feel like recency biasy is pointing me towards Trevor Lawrence. But these guys are so freaking close. You get a new offensive coordinator for the Chargers. You know, you get Quentin Johnson there. I don't know, man. I just feel like it's so much closer when you look at these two offenses. Everyone's expecting Trevor Lawrence to take a massive step forward next year, which I think is fair. But I just feel like Herbert was hurt last year. His receivers were hurt. The play calling was bad. I think it's very, very close between those two guys. Okay, Rachaad White gone at the 5.11. I'm going to recommend to you guys that you just don't draft Rachaad White. I've heard a lot of bad things about him. I've heard he's not very nice to his teammates. And he's recommending not draft. If you're playing in a league with me, I just recommend you don't draft Rachaad White this year. So, let's go for some upside. Give me DeAndre Swift. Why not? Let's switch it on up tonight. Just kidding. You guys know I love Rachaad White. So, yeah, I like that his ADP is moving up. I mean, 5.11. That's pretty close to where we've seen it be. At least when I'm drafting, right? I think that's a good round to go and take him. Great RB2 behind Barkley. All right, J-Dub says, Mixon is a late 4th, early 5th target for me. Yeah. I mean, hit it right on the dot. That's where he went tonight. Taylor says, Mahomes, D-Hop stack could happen. Brian makes a good point. Devontae Adams always open, plus Josh Jacobs holding out could be a value. Yeah, I mean, if Jacobs truly not there, I mean, who else is on that offense? Hunter Renfrow, maybe. Could this mean Mixon has trade values can trade him away in Dynasty? Yeah, I mean, his trade value is higher than it was this morning, for sure, Chase. J-Dub says, I still like Saquon 100%. Yeah, I like Saquon right there at the 2.2, 2.1 area. You know, if you come out of the first round, and that string of receivers there is gone, and you want to go running back, Barkley's hands down the best option. All right, let's see. J-Dub says Debo in the 5th is nasty. Yeah, Debo just continues to, yeah. I think Debo at the 5.6 is 100% worth it. I mean, let me look it up here. How many fantasy points per game did Debo have last year? Because he missed some time, right? Debo Samuel, fantasy points per game. 8.65. Not that great. But, you know what? I think this site I'm using does it by standard, which is kind of annoying. Hold on. I can do math. Second time in the stream, I'm going to do math. Pray for me, guys. Okay. 166.4. This would have been quicker than me looking it up. Okay, so 12.8 points in full PPR. That's not too bad. I mean, that's not great. The ceiling is much, much lower than, you know, his monstrous season and everything, but it's not the worst. It could be worse. All right, I'm going to look up Ayuk's in a second here after I make this next pick. You know what? I'm going to start looking up Ayuk's. Ayuk, 227.8 divided by 17 is 13.4. Listen, I mean, Ayuk's my guy. I'm not coming off of that. But, hey, Ayuk and Sam will go back and back here. Back to back. Excuse me. Not that much of a difference in average points per game between Debo and Ayuk. So I still like Ayuk, generally speaking, because of the value of where you can draft him compared to Debo. But when we're looking at it tonight, I don't know. They're right next to each other. Give me Dotson, since you guys drafted Pacheco and Monty. Guys stealing my RBs tonight. But I'm used to it. Asher says I'm out on Debo. Taylor says Herb. Thomas says T-Law all day. Taylor says, I think the Chargers will score more points out of necessity. It's an interesting point to bring up. Thomas says, I'll wait for T-Law. I mean, like, I'm glad Andrea took him at 5.10 tonight because his ADP is like 10 spots past Herbert, according to Sleeper. But that's just not realistic. Like, you know, we haven't seen a quarterback, you know, been taken off the board since 5.10 with Trevor Lawrence, obviously. I think this is your tier. Like, you have the first tier, right? Obviously, Mahomes, Hurts, Allen. I think Burrow's kind of like right in the middle. But for me, at least. And then, you know, Jackson, Fields, Herbert, Lawrence. And you can debate any of those guys in a higher tier. But, like, you kind of have that top tier, Mahomes, Hurts, Allen. Then you have everyone else who we just talked about who's, you know, been taken at the quarterback position. Then there's a drastic drop-off, in my opinion. I mean, it's not too drastic, but it is definitely a drop-off. When you look at Prescott, Watson, Tua, Richardson, Cousins, Rodgers as the next guy, is like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think all those players are going to be fine, but they are definitely not the quarterbacks we just went over. You know what I mean? So I definitely think, like, tonight's a good example with T-Law going at the 5.10, but that is what's going to be normal come August time, come end of August time. This is your top-tier quarterback. So, you know, there was a point in the offseason where you could wait, like, almost a full round before going Trevor Lawrence, but I'd just be very, very careful with that because I think Herbert and T-Law are going to be going much, much earlier than maybe they have been, right? Especially as more and more people are, like, kind of realizing as we get closer and closer to draft season, so to speak, that early quarterback is just a very popular trend. It doesn't have to be, you know, Mahomes or Hurts at the end of the second or in the third, you know, Allen at the end of the third. It doesn't have to be that early of a quarterback, but, like, hitting on one of the quarterbacks who's on the board right now, except for Watson, is, like, really becoming a big stressor within the fantasy community, so to speak. J-Dub says, buy the Kellen Moore hype. I agree. Chase says, didn't realize I picked two Bucks players back to back. I mean, both those guys good value where he got them, man. Thomas says, John, I'm drafting Rachaad White just to trade him to you. I mean, that has happened at least in one dynasty league, right? Oh, Taylor answered my question about Debo. But thank you, Taylor. Ayuk starting to get overpriced. Debo's is the right value now at the fall. I agree. I love Ayuk. I wanted him to be that guy. You know, I could go out and get it at the right price, have a very solid year, be my flex, full PPR. Maybe have that breakout type season where he moves up to the wide receiver 2 spot if I need him. But, like, don't get me wrong, you can still draft Ayuk as a wide receiver 3 or 4 right now, but he just was at such a better price before. Hollywood Brown is creeping up boards. Kirk fell back a little bit tonight, but, like, I mean, those are the three guys of mine in that range. Then you kind of break into the rookie tier, right? I like Jordan Addison. I like JSN still. I like Zay Flowers. And you have, I mean, really, when you look at all these wide receivers in the 7th, they're all a good value. So now we're probably going to start evaluating some of those guys a little bit closer. Mike Williams, probably being slept on right now. Was a monster last year when healthy. Evans, Lockett, disrespected every year. Deontay Johnson didn't score any touchdowns last year, but if he did, we'll be going much, much, much higher in drafts. So we'll see. J-Dub says CMC will be the only consistent 49er. Could be true. I mean, I still like Ayuk. You know, I mean, was still your wide receiver 15 last year. I mean, it's kind of similar to when we look at Kirk. Like, he was your wide receiver 11. And I do think they've just been undervalued throughout the offseason. So, I actually think 5th round is pretty appropriate for Ayuk and Kirk, who fell back a little bit tonight. But, you know, especially when we're looking at last year, like, those are top 15 guys. So, I just think we're getting the correct adjustment. And now you just have to determine for yourself, like, is this a player that I truly want to draft in the 5th round? And I think Kirk will be consistent right, you know, around the Hollywood Brown, Ayuk, McLaurin type area. I don't know if Debo's always going to be here at the 5.6. I don't want to really include him. But JC, which rookie quarterback has the best chance to break fantasy football? For me, it'd be Anthony Richardson. He almost broke the ceiling that time. Makes too much sense. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's, you know, in terms of upside, it's got to be Richardson. I mean, it's not even close. It's got to be Richardson. I'm going to take Freiermuth here. I like my team tonight so far, but I got to figure out a plan at running back. It's got to be Richardson. I think Young and Stroud could have good years, but if we're talking about break fantasy football, quote unquote, Richardson, right? Shane, what's going on, man? Shane says drop a like. Do that. Help the stream. Thomas says my home league usually wipes up QBs by the 3rd. Ooh, interesting. Jacob says trade Lance to Atlanta. Trade. I mean, we'll see. I think that was a little bit more smoke than anything, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, I also have not been a huge Lance guy, so maybe it's just me. All right, 9th round already wrapping up, and then we will move right along into the 10th round. 9th round is wrapped up with Mitchell off the board. All right, so the poll, we've got T-Law at 62%, which does not surprise me. Herbert at 38%. So T-Law's been like my guy all off season. Don't get me wrong, but I do think those two are much, much closer. I do think that recency bias is definitely coming into play here for a lot of people, because when we look at the last 2 seasons for Herbert, I mean, you have quarterback 2 in 2021 and quarterback 11 last year, right? Then when we look at T-Law in his last 2 years, rookie season, quarterback 23, quarterback 8 last year. So, you know, in a better way to go over this, Herbert, you know, had a massive leap. I don't even know if I want to say massive. He just had a great rookie season, let's just be honest. Then took still a big leap forward going into his sophomore year, QB9 to QB2. Then had the regression last year. So, T-Law going from quarterback 23 to quarterback 8 is pretty close, actually. So, I don't know. All I'm saying is, don't forget the hype that was around Justin Herbert going into last year, because that hype was there for a reason. And don't forget, you know, rib injury early in the season. Keenan Allen wasn't there half the season. Mike Williams was doing Mike Williams things half the year as well. You know, Eckler had a great year, but the offensive play calling was just bad. The defense not good. Defense not going to be good this year, but that's a good thing for fantasy, right? Uh, better offensive play calling is coming this year. Listen, this wide receiver core is still a little bit worrisome. But Quentin Johnston's in a good spot to where he's going to be able to perform. Williams and Allen, if they do miss time, now you have Quentin Johnston. You still have Josh Palmer there. You still have Gerald Everett there. And Eckler can still catch the football. So, sorry, I don't know what just happened with the screen there. We still should have a lot of hope for Herbert potentially getting back to that top 6-ish range. And it's not a knock on T-Law at all. I'm all in on the Jaguars offense. You guys know this. I'm all in on T-Law. But I just would not let the recency bias the Chargers last season get to you, especially when we think about how good the Jaguars could potentially be this year. Okay. Who am I drafting? Sky Moore. I guess. I like this team tonight. Okay, let's see here. JSC, something tells me Eckler could see a decline this year. I'd rather have CMC or Bijan. Honestly, prefer Bijan. I think Eckler will be okay. I do. But it's fair, right? I mean, we've been talking about the Chargers offense for the last 5 minutes, right? When we look at their offensive play calling last year, a lot of dump offs were necessary. Probably won't be the case this year, but I still think Eckler's going to be just fine. He's going to be utilized 110%. Okay? He is still being pretty vocal about the fact he's not happy with his contract. What did he say today? That, there are backup wide receivers who make more money than him? I don't think anything major is going to come from it, but also 20 total touchdowns in 2021, 21 total touchdowns in 2022 for Eckler. Yeah, I mean, regression could be natural, but you also have to remember, his first couple years in the league, first 4 years in the league, he wasn't necessarily, I don't know. It's kind of tough because 2020 was hurt. Really, the first 2 years in the league. It wasn't really a full 3-down back, so he's a little bit fresher in his career than maybe some players would be, right? So, I don't know. I still believe in Eckler. But I get what you're saying. Regression should be natural here, right? Shane says, trade Lance to the Raiders. That would be interesting. Would be. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, JSC, I don't think you can go wrong. If you want CMC or Bijan there, I'm still fine with that. I really, those 3 running backs, whoever your RB1 is, personally, I don't care. And I said the same thing last year. I was very vocal about it. If you want Eckler, draft Eckler. I drafted Eckler at the 1.1 last year over CMC, happily, because I believed in the Chargers offense over the Niners offense. I was very, very much, and once again, we're talking about the Chargers offense, very, very much in the hype surrounding the Chargers offense and Justin Herbert going into last year. And my, in theory, it didn't really work out, but it did work out at the same time because play calling was so bad, Herbert just dumped it off to Eckler every play. So, and honestly, that wasn't even the greatest call of all time by any means because CMC was the RB2 last year. So, I mean, I'm still taking Bijan as my RB1 right now. So, Cinnabon, what's up, bro? Good to see you, man. All right, Cinnabon is first on the queue. If you guys want a team review, let me know. I will be making my final pick, and then we'll go from there. I feel like my team's missing something, but it's not. I like this squad tonight. I just got to take a dart throw at running back or draft Zay Jones, and I'm done. Draft Dawson Knox and call it a night. Draft Aaron Rodgers. Oh, the Jets are going to be on Hard Knocks. We haven't talked about that yet. It's not really fantasy relevant, but actually, I do think that the Hard Knocks thing is slightly fantasy relevant. I'll tell you why. it is going to drive up the price of particular Jets players a little bit higher. I'm telling you right now, it could push Wilson, like solidify him around the 1.10 area. The Hard Knocks effect. I'm calling it now. Could drive Breece Hall up into the end of the second round, solidify him there. These guys sometimes go in those spots, right? Solidify them. I do think it will push up Aaron Rodgers' ADP. I mean, last quarterback off the board tonight. I think that could change. Alan Lazard, telling you, he might move up like 2 spots. Maybe nothing too crazy there, but keep an eye on it. Okay. Let me take a sip of water. Is it a hot take if I think Calvin Ridley can be a wide receiver 1 for fantasy teams? No. I mean, enough people think that, but I would not do it. He hasn't played. He is a wide receiver 1 on Brian's team. Just be careful with it, guys. I mean, I get it. Last time we saw him in a full season was very good. Okay? That's 2020. Okay? Kirk's still there. Jones is there. Ingram's there. Etienne catches the ball. Ridley's going to have a good year. I'd rather draft Christian Kirk at the 6.7 all day long, though. Just be careful with it. Anytime a player's coming back from like a long-term absence, I'm just hesitant around it personally. I don't think it's a hot take, though. I think plenty of people are with you there. All right, Cinnabum. Tua and Geno. Can't go wrong with the late-round quarterback build with both of these guys. I'll take it. Goddard's perfectly fine as your tight end 1. Etienne, Sanders, Chubbs, Roschon Johnson. I mean, I'm fine with Etienne and Sanders. I like Chubbs and Roschon Johnson as well, but like Chubbs going to have a very specific role within that offense. Could lead to some down weeks, and Roschon Johnson still has competition within this backfield. I know I'm still a fan of Roschon Johnson, and a lot of you guys are, but I really think that Donta Foreman's going to be the guy to start the year. I think Khalil Herbert could be phased out, and Roschon Johnson could take his type of role. So the only thing is, right, this is still okay in redraft, but you just got to keep in mind, right, like at the end of the day, if something happens to Etienne or Sanders, you could have a low ceiling between these guys. I do like Chubbs a lot in full PPR, though, because I think that specific role will be a lot of pass catching. Okay, Diggs, Waddle, Brown, Pittman. Love those first 4 receivers. Great value on all those guys. I don't really care who you drafted after that in redraft, but Beckham and Campbell they're not my favorite late round guys, but they're fine. Like I said, these first 4 guys, very, very good. Great value on them, too. All right, so you're starting Tua or Geno, whoever you want there. Goddard, Etienne and Sanders, Diggs, Waddle, Brown, Pittman. Very, very good core roster. I like Chubbs and Roschon on the bench. I just like maybe over your second quarterback or Paris Campbell or Odell. I don't know. Maybe just go for, I mean, even if it's Eli Mitchell or Damian Harris, try to get a little bit more depth. I don't know. But overall, waiver wire trades, you could fix it. It's a very good core roster. And I get why you went 2 quarterbacks with Tua and his, concussions and everything. So, pretty good squad. Astrid over at the 1.1. We got Prescott at quarterback. I mean, I'll take Prescott in the 11th round. Why not? And Conquil and Laporta at tight end. That's fine. I mean, I'm not super into the Nkonkwo hype. I think he could have a good year, but just I'm worried about the Tennessee Titans offense and their passing attack. Pollard, Hall, Monty, Penny, Spears, that's fine. Chase, Judy, Watson, Addison, Michael Thomas. I mean, I'm still out on Michael Thomas, but I love those first 4 guys. I'm not the biggest Judy fan, but I'll take him with the combination of other receivers you've got here. So we're starting Prescott and Chig, Pollard and Hall, Chase and Judy, Watson and Addison. You could also flex Monty as Madison starts to come along. Penny could be an option. Yeah, I think this team is fine in redraft. I mean, you essentially got Monty or Addison on the bench, Penny, Thomas, Spears, Laporta on the bench. Yeah, it's a fine team. All right, Taylor at the 1.7. Mahomes. He's good. Dolchich and Higbee, a very good late-round tight end build. You got your tight end 6 from last year, and you got Dolchich. You guys know how I feel about him, and going to be one of the most hyped-up tight ends throughout the offseason for sure. Chubb, Cook, Little Cook, Jamal Williams, Singletary. I mean, kind of a hero running back build to a degree. Fine if Chubb's your guy there. Can't really argue it. He was your RB6 last year. So I think that's fine. Hill, D-Hop, Ayuk, Deontay, Gabe Davis. Yeah, good enough wide receivers. I mean, Gabe Davis I'm scared of. I like Mooney there more. But, you know, Gabe Davis, Rondo Moore, Mooney. You know, pick your poison. It's fine. All right, so we're starting Mahomes and let's say Dolchich. Could be Higbee, of course. Chubb and Dalvin Cook. Hill and Hopkins, Ayuk and Deontay. A good core roster for sure. James Cook, Jamal Williams, Gabe Davis, Singletary, and one of the 2 tight ends on the bench. Yeah, this is a good team. I like that squad a lot. Looks good to me. Chase Brown. Man, you didn't draft Chase Brown tonight. What are we doing if you don't draft Chase Brown? All right, Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Rodgers behind him. I mean, you know, if I don't know. Like, at the end of the 13th, there's only so much value there. But if I'm spending a 3rd-round pick on a quarterback, I don't know that I'm taking Rodgers behind him. But I get Hurts, you know, injury last year, missed 2 weeks. Guess it can't hurt to have a veteran behind him. Kelsey at tight end. He is good. Barkley, White, Gibson, Bigsby. That's fine. You know, 1 handcuff's fine. Allen, Godwin, Williams, Bateman, Lazard, Rashee Rice. Okay. I can take that. Hurts at QB, Kelsey at tight end, Barkley and White at running back, Allen and Godwin at receiver, flexing Mike Williams, flexing Gibson, Bateman, or Lazard. Bigsby and Rice are probably chilling on your bench to kind of see their usage. But, yeah, I do like this team. Core roster's good. Like, I mean, you got a fair amount of upside just between Kelsey, Barkley, and Hurts. I love White this year, and then, like, your receivers don't offer the highest ceiling. I think that's okay. You get some good consistency as long as these guys are healthy. So, I'll take it. All right, J-Dubs at 1.12. Allen at QB. He's good. And Njoku and Kincaid. I like Kincaid in a build with Allen behind a solidified tight end. So I like that. Similar to whoever took Kincaid last night. I don't remember. Pierce, Madison, Kamara, Mitchell, Kendre Miller. It's kind of your build. Heavy wide receiver, maybe a quarterback. And then mid-round running backs. But St. Brown, Wilson, London, Tony, Chark. Can live with that. So you're starting Allen and Njoku. Pierce and Madison. Man, Kamara's still going at 7.12. I mean, I guess that makes sense with the suspension looming. But St. Brown, Wilson, London, Tony. So that leaves you with Kamara, Mitchell, Miller, Kincaid, Chark on the bench. And obviously, going Miller behind Kamara is smart. I mean, Jamal Williams going to get his too. But if you can get one or the other, I think that's smart. So I was trying to see if he could have got, I mean, if he would have had to sacrifice Tony. So I think that's fine. I'm fine with this team, man. I mean, you're following your build. Your upside lies at receiver and quarterback here. Good tight end value. And, yeah, I think it's fine. Thomas, you went Eckler at 1.1 over Chase and JJ. I mean, last year, yes. Last year's ADP was, like, generally speaking, C-Mac, Eckler, C-Mac or JJ, Eckler, or JJ. It just kind of depended on Chase. Also, that was a keeper league, so Chase and JJ were not available. So, yeah. But C-Mac and Eckler are generally going before them in most leagues. kind of depend on who you're drafting with. And it was keeper league. I could have kept Christian McCaffrey, but it didn't make any sense because I had the 1.1. I kept Javonte Williams in like the 6th or 7th round. Didn't really work out. But yes, I did take Eckler at 1.1 proudly last year. Okay, Andrea. T-Lock QB, Ingram at tight end, a little stack action there. I don't know why, but I kind of want to draft a second tight end behind Ingram. Maybe because the deal's up in the air as of 3 hours ago. I don't know. But it's fine for mid-July purposes. Harris, Dobbins, Akers, Algier, Foreman, good running back value throughout the whole draft. A.J. Brown, Olave, Flowers, Sutton, Mingo, Gallup. Pretty good wide receiver room as well. First 4 guys, good values where you got them. Mingo and Gallup, why not? Algier and Foreman, why not where you took them? Good draft, Andrea. So we're starting T-Law and Ingram, Brown and Olave, Harris and Dobbins. Probably flexing Flowers and Sutton in full PPR, but Akers could certainly creep in there as well. Algier, Mingo, Foreman, Gallup are all good bench pieces. Just a solid team. I like that squad, Andrew. Ghost says Ridley's overhyped. I think Kirk has the better year. I mean, I do too, personally. Marco. Burrow. Richardson. I like it. Hawkinson. Stevenson, Gibbs, Pacheco, Damon Harris. I like that. JJ, Lockett, Moore, J-Mo, Myers, Boyd. Pretty decent wide receiver room. I mean, biggest thing would be if J-Mo comes on for you the second half of the season. But yeah, I mean, wide receiver takes a little bit of a hit going 3 running backs, tight end, quarterback, 2nd through the 6th round. But good value on Lockett and Elijah Moore. Myers could be a sneaky pick here, and J-Mo, like I said, second half of the season's fine. Boyd is really just a handcuff to me at this point after the season he had last year. But if Higgins or Chase is down, he's a good player to have. All right, so we're starting, and you have Burrow, so, that's good. All right, starting Burrow and T-Hawk, Stevenson and Gibbs, JJ and Lockett, flexing Elijah Moore and Pacheco, J-Mo, Harris, Myers, Boyd, A-Rich on the bench. I think that's actually a pretty solid team. I mean, your upside lies with running back, tight end, quarterback, kind of a hero wide receiver build. I think it looks pretty solid, though, actually. I like that team. Kudo, what's up, man? Danny Dimes. I still like Jones, but I might take a second quarterback behind him. Although, looking at the board, like, you would have had gone Russ or Rodgers. I don't know. I don't really blame you. Andrews at tight end. C-Mac, Henry, Connor, and keeping Kenneth Gainwell alive. Let's go. Cooper, good value at 4.9. McLaurin's good value in the 5th. Burks, Pickens, Juju, Mooney, Thielen. I mean, yeah. You're kind of missing that one wide receiver, just kind of like puts you over the top. But C-Mac and Henry could be pretty lethal. Andrews good there. Good value on your first 2 receivers. Good value on Connor. Pretty solid draft for a redraft format. So starting Jones and Andrews, C-Mac and Henry, Cooper, McLaurin. Flexing Burks, Pickens, Juju, Mooney, Thielen. Like any of those guys are Connor. So it's a good roster to go into the year with. Trades, waiver wire. You have plenty of options here. Definitely a team that, if it starts off hot, you feel really good. If it starts off rocky, you have options to trade with, to drop and pick up on the waiver wire, and to kind of move a couple guys around if you need to. So, yeah, solid team. Chance. What's up, dude? Fields at QB, Kittle and Kmet. Finally. Always tell you guys, if you draft Kittle, draft a second tight end. Said it all last offseason. He missed the first 2 games of the year. I looked smart. 2021. Missed a couple games middle of the year. 2020, missed a lot of time. So I love Kmet behind him, especially with Fields at quarterback. Jacobs, Mixon, Brian Robinson, and Mostert. I can live with that in redraft. Kupp, Higgins, Evans, Quinn Johnston, Nico Collins. Okay. I can take that. So here's the Mixon team of the night. I think 4.10 is appropriate. I think that's fine. I like him next to Jones, essentially, in rankings. I think that's just fine. Even if it's before Jones. Right in that area. End of the 4th, beginning of the 5th. I think it's okay for Mixon right now. All right, so we're starting Fields and Kittle. Jacobs and Mixon. Now, that is... Jacobs still a little spooky right now. We'll see what happens. Kupp and Higgins. I like that. Flexing Evans. As the season goes on, you're probably flexing QJ, but to start, it's probably Brian Robinson, which is okay. So other than one of those two guys, you got Kmet, Collins, most starting Young on the bench. I mean, I know some people have injury concerns around Fields or maybe still a little leery of him. I mean, I'm not, but I can get drafting a second quarterback behind him. But I do think looking at this build, another running back or receiver would have helped you a little bit more. But you got 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, 5 receivers. I like to see the 6th receiver here, but still not a bad build by any means. Core roster looks pretty good. I think as QJ comes on, you're in a pretty decent spot. Albert, what's up, bro? Brian says, the way I look at it, having Christian Kirk and Zay Jones gives Ridley single coverage. See, I think it could work actually to where the way Christian Kirk lines up, he's primarily in the slot. I just think he's going to be open a lot. Ridley's going to be taking it, Ridley can do whatever he wants, essentially, right? Then Zay Jones, kind of that over-the-top guy. Kirk's going to be open a lot, especially with Ingram also across the middle. I just think, especially in full PPR, Kirk is that security blanket player. He's already got the chemistry with T-Law. He's already got a full season with the team and within the offense. I think Kirk's going to have a very good year. But I get why people like Ridley, but like we look at tonight's draft, I'd just rather take Kirk 3 rounds later. Let's see. Taylor says, I think people are underestimating how many snaps Singletary is about to see in Houston. I mean, I think that's fair. I think it's kind of similar to Damian Harris. I think he's going to get a lot of touches in Buffalo's offense. I think it's fair. I think in the 11th, he's a good player to draft. He's a low-ceiling player. Could be top 25 again. He had 178 rushing attempts last year, 38 receptions. So when we look at Dameon Pierce, had 220 rushing attempts, 30 receptions. I mean, the murky thing is like, what is this Texans offense really going to be? Rookie quarterback, who's going to be the primary receiver? Definitely up for debate. Some people say Collins, some people say Mechie, some people even say Robert Woods. It is. We don't really know what they're going to be. The defense improved last year, believe it or not. At least the passing. Or secondary, I should say, did. But I don't know. I just think that team just doesn't really have an identity, and that's something that spooks me when I'm looking at it from a fantasy perspective. But I do think you're right. Singletary in the 11th is okay for sure. Don, what's up, man? Good to see you. How are we doing, man? What up? Okay, let's roast my team. I think we got to everybody's team reviews. And let's see what I did tonight. Okay, Herbert at quarterback, Freiermuth at tight end. Like both those guys. We kind of had the debate. Let's see where the poll finished. Herbert ended up winning the poll. Okay, 22 votes. 59% of you guys are drafting Herbert over T-Law, 41%. Trevor Lawrence was holding the poll for a while. I think it's going to be close between those two guys. Herbert at 5.8, I'm happy with. I don't mind if T-Law is my guy there, though. Okay, so happy with my quarterback and tight end. Walker, Swift, Dylan, McKinnon, Zeke. End of the draft, it was like, I didn't really have any needs on this team, but I felt like an additional running back would help. Felt pretty good about wide receivers, quarterback, and tight end. I mean, if Gainwell was there, I'll probably take Gainwell, but hey, if maybe we can learn a lesson from the Joe Mixon situation, maybe Zeke winds up back with Dallas in a similar role. Maybe he goes to a competitive team. I don't know. When you look at last year, like everyone hates Zeke, but 876 yards on the ground, 12 touchdowns, 3.79 yards per carry. Yeah, it's a step down. The receiving game vanished. Pollard took it. But there's still something there, I think, for Zeke. Something. at the very least. I don't know. Wasn't anyone on the board, really. All right. I'm happy with my running backs. Yes, there's a little bit of sketchiness here. I went for the upside with Swift. If I don't go Swift there, Connor, Pacheco, Monty, I like all those names. I prefer Rashad White there, but you guys are getting hip. He went at the 5.11. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Dotson, Sky Moore, Rashid Shaheed. Love this wide receiver room. Really, really like it. The only thing that I would have done maybe differently in this draft is go quarterback at 4.5. I was very close to going Burrow or Fields there. I don't mind Lamar there as well. And then going wide receiver in the 5th. But that probably would have put me with probably Hollywood Brown, maybe Ayuk, which I'd be okay with. But I just really like DJ Moore this year. So outside of that, like I said, maybe if I don't go Swift there, who brings some risk but brings upside, Connor, Pacheco, Monty. So. But hey, we went for upside tonight. All right, so I'd be starting Herbert and Freiermuth, Walker and Swift, Lamb and Devonta Smith, flexing DJ Moore, flexing Dotson. I love that starting roster. A.J. Dillon on the bench. I still like A.J. Dillon, but I do prefer him on the bench. McKinnon on the bench. I'm good at that. Sky Moore, Shaheed, and Ezekiel Elliott. Come on. I mean, truthfully, like who would you guys have drafted? I mean, there's like that tier of wide receivers I always kind of talk about at the end of drafts. KJ Osborne, Zay Jones, Alec Pierce. Like, there's some names there. But I felt like running back. I mean, I could have gone like Jerome Ford. I don't know. Just give me Zeke. Whatever. Okay, so I like this team tonight, actually. Yeah, feel okay about it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday night. I gotta get up early. So I guess that'll wrap it up for the night. Tomorrow night, it's time to hop into Underdog draft. What do we have going on in Underdog right now? Isn't there like a new tournament? Fast puppy and slow puppies are open. So, I mean, we still got... Wait. Okay, weekly winners still here. I was about to say, where are my weekly winners? So we got the Mastiff, we've got Best Ball Mania, of course, and we got Fast and Slow Puppies. So we'll hop into a draft or two tomorrow night. Maybe a weekly winners and a Fast Puppy if it doesn't close by tomorrow. I don't know. Underdog night, Saturday night. That sounds about right. So thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Thank you guys for talking some fantasy with me. And that'll wrap it up for the night. Marco, I found out recently that I'm picking at 4 in my main redraft league, 12 teams. 2 flex, 1 QB. If JJ and Chase are off the board, what's the move? Cup is fine there if you want to go wide receiver. Tyreek Hill's fine there too. Bijan and Eckler are fine. So, this kind of depends. You want to start with running back or receiver. Cup's fine. Hill's fine. Bijan, Eckler are fine. Really good value, like really good picks at the beginning of the draft. When I was talking about the first couple of picks from last year, Cup definitely in that tier as well. That's who I was forgetting. But it's hard when I was specifically thinking about that draft, and that was a keeper league, and Cup was long gone. So, anyways, trying to correct myself. Team of the night. Ooh, there are a couple good ones we went over tonight. I liked Andrea's team tonight. I actually like my team a lot tonight, I'm not going to lie. But I'm never team of the night. Kuda has a very interesting squad, too. I might go Andrea. But there are a lot of really good core rosters tonight. I like Chase's team, too. Yeah, a lot of really good core rosters, but when we're looking at benches... I don't know. I did like Marco's team a lot, especially for like not going wide, like kind of a hero wide receiver build. I also like Astra's team a lot tonight. I don't know, man. I'm gonna go Andrea. T-Law, Ingram, Harris Dobbins, Brown, Olave, Flowers, Sutton. Akers can be flexed in. Some good late round value. I think I'll go Andrea. Some good teams out here tonight, though. I did like Taylor's team, too, though. That one's pretty close. Mahomes, Dolchich or Higbee, Chubb, Cook, Hill, Hopkins, Ayuk, Johnson. That one's pretty close. Then Cook, J-Mo, Davis, Singletary on the bench. Those might be my 2 of the night. Taylor gang, what's up, man? Sorry you're catching us here at the end here. You're right, Chase. Yeah, if you have Rashad White, you move up a tier automatically. All right, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you for being here. Make sure you guys check out the links down below. Follow us on Instagram. Join our Discord. You know what to do. And that'll do it. Everyone have a great weekend, guys. If it's not your weekend yet, I hope it's soon. And you guys be safe. Hit me up if you need anything. And that'll do it. Thank you guys to those of you who drafted with me tonight. We'll be back on tomorrow night for some underdog action. So everyone be safe. Have a great weekend. I think I already said that. So love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, yes, odd here on the Catch. And peace.